Hey, it's Dave Brown here, host of Now with Dave Brown on AMI. Check out this latest highlight from the show. June is Pride Month. Toronto will host one of North America's largest Pride festivals and parades this weekend. There are celebrations happening across the country, but it's also time to commemorate the history of the 2S LGBTQ+ movement. One organization has put that at the forefront of everything they do. The ArQuives started in 1973. They are the largest independent archive for the community in the world. Raegan Swanson is their executive director. Hey, welcome to the show, Raegan. Nice to chat with you today.
Nice to talk to you.
Raegan, I glossed over it a little bit there, but what's the mission? What's at the core of the mission and mandate of the ArQuives?
So the ArQuives has had the same mission and mandate for 51 years now, which is to collect anything and everything about the LGBTQ2+ community in Canada. So that might include personal papers, it might include artifacts. It's just about everything that reflects the lives of community members here in Canada.
What's it like trying to curate and collect that wealth of information?
It's very personally satisfying to see community reflected in ways that you don't see in other libraries, archives, or museums, to have a space where it's just community members speaking their own stories rather than it being necessarily people talking about the community rather than letting their own voices speak. So it's challenging, that's for sure. There's not a lot of funding that exists to preserve history in this country, especially for those groups that are the most marginalized, but it's incredibly satisfying to be a part of.
What's the significance of keeping all of those records and keeping all of those papers and collecting all of those stories? What's the bigger picture, the bigger impact?
Um, I think there's a whole bunch of impacts, but I guess the main one right now really is about having a place for these history to exist and for having control. I think that in the world, there's a lot of different governments that, and even here in Canada, that cause one to kind of reflect about how safe some of these histories are because the community members themselves don't feel safe. And so to have a space where the community controls it, the community is the one that finances it to a large extent. It's a community that donates to it. It's a community that volunteers, that sits on the board, that's members of staff. It's about having control when you are being just continually systematically marginalized by government and by other communities.
The organization has been hosting tours in Toronto's Village, specifically in the area of Church and Wellesley. Why was this neighborhood so crucial to the history of the 2S LGBTQ+ community?
So I think it has two kind of main parts to that. So we've been doing tours for over almost 10 plus years now. And it's really about showing where a lot of the movement was able to originate. So there's a lot of people that came to Toronto that moved from small towns into Toronto in the 60s and 70s and 80s and 90s. And that was because Toronto could be a safe space. They knew the Church Wellesley Village would be a place where they could probably find a place to live, that they wouldn't be discriminated against. And while that's no longer quite the case now because of gentrification in the neighborhood, the Church Wellesley Village has been a hub for community organizing, community celebration, and it's important to mark those historical elements as well, kind of as they're disappearing because built heritage is changing and disappearing in Toronto.
I would encourage people to take the tour and go down in person and get it, but maybe just an amuse-bouche, a little appetizer on what they might get to experience if they come down to take the tour.
So what we've done is we've gone back into the archives, obviously, and we've pulled photographs, we've pulled flyers and posters from the different institutions and organizations that were so important. A place like the 519 Community Center has been a hub not just in itself, but of the type of organizations that were started there. So folks can see Gender Trash is one of the items on your screen. Gender Trash from Hell was a zine, and they organized out of the 519. So it's not necessarily just the building, but all the different little community groups that were able to find space in there. So we talk a lot about those groups and the impact that they had in the community.
Raegan, this is not just a Toronto show, it's a national show. I'm curious about digital resources that might be available for folks if they're interested in the work that you and your colleagues at the ArQuives are doing.
Sure. So our collection has always had a national focus. But that's not to say that we don't have a ton of Ontario things, partly because we're here and partly because just, a lot of organizing did happen in Toronto. We've got two different platforms outside of our website, and one of them is to search the collection, kind of the way you would for your public library. So you put in your keyword search and you see what comes up. The second one we have is similar to the online collections portal, but it is a digital exhibition site. And so you can do the same thing with keyword searches, but we've also created, I think we're close to 30 digital exhibits now for people to review. There's hundreds of hours of oral history and video recordings of people talking about their lives and the projects they worked on. But, it's just chock full of archival material that reflect the experiences of community in Toronto, around Canada, different genders, different sexualities represented. And it's just a chance to kind of celebrate that history and show that, it exists. The community has been there. It's been there for forever. And, we often get overshadowed by American history, and it's time to celebrate Canadian pride and to have Canada's LGBTQ2 plus history at the forefront and show that it's made an impact worldwide.
Speaking of celebrations, it is Pride Weekend in Toronto. It's oftentimes one of the highlights of the summer. What's this weekend like for you?
Well, for us, it's not Pride Weekend. For us, it's like Pride Month. We are incredibly busy.
Let me interrupt. When I say you, I didn't mean as I didn't mean as a member of the community. I mean, what's the weekend like for you?
The weekend is incredibly busy. So we are lucky to work with Pride Toronto. We've got a table out for the Pride weekend. We've been doing a lot of workshops and open houses, things leading up to this weekend. So now it's a chance for us to be out on the street and to try to insert a little bit of history lessons while people go off and party.
Always the responsibility through and through. Raegan, thank you for this. It was great to chat with you this morning.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
That is Raegan Swanson, Executive Director of the ArQuives. I'm going to read out the website here just so you can get a better point of contact if you want to learn more about their work. ArQuives.ca. That's ArQuives.ca. Do you want to dive into more conversations like this? Watch Now with Dave Brown weekdays at 9 a.m. Eastern on AMI TV or download the podcasts wherever you listen.